Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with a 31 Days double review of The Resurrection of Michael Myers, Parts 1 and 2. I'm back for the 31 Days of Horror, or 31 Days of Halloween, 2024. Today I have an incredibly rare VHS tape from my collection. Every year I try to highlight something super rare, and well, this is it. It's so rare, in fact, I do not personally know anyone else who owns a copy. This is not one you see every day. So I'm happy to be able to introduce it to you. Unless, of course, you have seen these films. The Resurrection of Michael Myers, Parts 1 and 2, are two Swedish, low-budget, independent, shot-on-video horror films. That was a mouthful, and that's what she said. Both contained here on this VHS tape. I'll be reviewing both of them in this video. These are super obscure and super fun. Released in 1987, The Resurrection of Michael Myers, Part 1, begins in a movie theater. Two friends have just finished watching John Carpenter's Halloween. This film even includes footage from the actual movie. In addition to that, the Halloween score is used throughout. One of the guys, after having seen Halloween, goes to work and finds that he is being stalked by someone in a Michael Myers mask. Is it some elaborate prank? Or could it be the real Michael Myers? But wait, Michael Myers isn't real to begin with, right? Believe me, this film doesn't give a fuck about that, because this is the resurrection of Michael Myers. Part 1 is basically one long chase scene, as Michael chases his intended victim throughout the work building. Of course, he stops to kill everyone who gets in his way, including the guy's boss, security, and anyone else. If that's not enough, one of the murder victims comes back to life as a zombie, a kung fu fighting zombie. Yes, that's right. I'm not joking. As we reach the climax of Part 1, our protagonist finally unmasks his stalker. And guess what, guys? It's not Michael Myers underneath the mask. It's Freddy Krueger. And just like that, the guy wakes up in the movie theater. It was all a nightmare. A nightmare in Haddonfield, I guess you could say. The Resurrection of Michael Myers Part 2 picks up right where Part 1 left off. And if you thought the first one sounded crazy, you ain't heard nothing yet. Part 2, by the way, was released 2 years later, in 1989. It's also worth mentioning that both of these films were made by friends who wrote, directed, and even starred in them. You can tell they had a great time doing it, too. Still in the movie theater from the end of Part 1, our protagonist appears to have had a seizure during his nightmare. I guess it was a seizure. Something happened to him, and an ambulance is called. He is transported to the local hospital, where the doctors and nurses are having a Halloween party. People are dressed in costumes and masks, and one of them is a Michael Myers mask. And so, obviously, Michael Myers himself returns. But this time, he's not alone. In Part 2, he brings some friends along. Leatherface and Jason Voorhees. We also get another kung fu fighting zombie in the form of a dead doctor. As the three horror icons stalk and kill the people of the hospital, our main protagonist from Part 1 continues to run as they pursue him too. Meanwhile, Leatherface uses his trusty chainsaw to chop off a nurse's arm, and then proceeds to beat her to death with it. Jason throws acid in a doctor's face, which melts his flesh right off. It's such a cool effect, I must say. And then Michael Myers gives another victim a swirly in an unflushed toilet he used himself. We also get some welcomed, gratuitous nudity in Part 2. Full frontal. It's two women who have their clothes cut off by Leatherface and Jason. Yes, the resurrection of Michael Myers Part 2 is indeed even wackier than Part 1. Not surprisingly, people who have seen both of these films seem to universally prefer the sequel. I do as well. It's an absolute blast. I do like Part 1 too, though, especially the end credits, when the characters are dancing to I'm Your Boogeyman. I thought that was a fitting song for the conclusion. Seeing Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Leatherface all together in these two films is pretty awesome. Not to mention the Evil Dead-style practical effects, and, of course, the kung fu fighting zombies. It's like a horror fanatic's dream shot on video, and I loved every second of both parts. I was impressed with the practical effects. I loved the look of the killers, and I very much appreciated the full frontal nudity. The kills are unique as well, and I love the meta aspect of Part 2. One of the victims is found with a VHS copy of Part 1 shoved in his mouth. That was another really cool effect, with the way his cheeks took the shape of the tape. The shape of the tape of the shape shot on tape. I guess the wackiness of these two films was contagious. All jokes aside, though, it's awesome finding something different like this to watch during the Halloween season. Those who appreciate films like this, I think, will love both parts. I've been wanting to review these during the 31 days for a very long time, and I'm happy 2024 is finally the year. Have you seen The Resurrection of Michael Myers, Parts 1 and 2? If so, what do you think of them? Comment below and let me know. What will I review next for the 31 days? Check back soon to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.